What up? What up? What up? It's Rec League Podcast, man. It's episode number 86. Randy Little is who you hear, who you see. 86 episodes, man. Summer 2018 is when this jumped off. And we still cooking. We still going. In every universe, we still going. Yeah, man. If that wasn't a hint, this episode, I give a warning before the discussion starts. I'm going to give you another warning right now. This whole episode, no holding back, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, spoiler heavy discussion. We're not muting, we're not censoring, we're not tiptoeing around all the details. If you've seen the movie, watch, listen, enjoy. If you have not seen this movie yet, go see it, come back, and then watch, listen, kick it with us. The panel got a little bit of a shake-up this ep. Comic book movies just aren't Melissa's flavor, so I'm not like twisting her arm and making her pitch in, sit, and just listen to the rest of us talk. And then E-Sig, my dog, life happens, things come up. He just couldn't make it. There was an episode, just me, Nick, and Melissa, 2 or 3 back. Busy dude, man. Like I said, shit happens. My guy, Legacy, Jay Merritt, Just My Thoughts 1 on Twitter. Dude got a gang of followers. Check him out. He, huge Marvel, huge MCU guy. So I invited him to hang out with me and Nick while we chop it up. And it's a fun flow and discussion. And, yeah, man, like the comic book movie discussions are always fun. So, yeah, man, whether you are listening, watching, if you're watching, you on YouTube, obviously. Give us a like. Give us a comment. Give us a review. Give us your thoughts on this movie. If you listening, Good Pods, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, whatever the case may be, give us a rating, give us a review. It's all love. Whether you don't even enjoy the episode, just however you feel. Recently in the theater, like what else really came out, man? Over the past 2 weeks, the whole reason for this episode, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness came out. This past weekend, the Firestarter remake with Zac Efron came out. Over the next 2 weeks in between episodes, the Downton Abbey, what's it called, A New Era, the Downton Abbey movie sequel, the Sex and the City Part 2 for old people TV, comes out this weekend. Alex Garland's new movie Men comes out this weekend, which looks insanely trippy, but I'm terrified my theater won't get it. Memorial Day weekend, we got Top Gun Maverick, long-awaited sequel to 1986 Top Gun. I think one of the last remaining movies that should have come out when the virus hit. That shit was supposed to come out like the 4th of July of 2020. And then the Bob's Burgers movie, which I think is also a COVID victim. It was supposed to come out last year, maybe even 2020. But those both come out Memorial Day weekend. And Blu-ray and DVD over the past couple weeks. Turning Red from Pixar came out. Blacklight came out. Without Remorse with Michael B. Jordan, that was on Amazon Prime last year, came out. The Outfit came out. This past Tuesday, like the whole Jurassic Park franchise got 4K upgrades. Uncharted came out. Dog with Channing Tatum came out. Shout Factory put out 2 for the Money. I haven't seen it since like 2005. It's probably trash, but I remember liking it when I was 19. This upcoming Tuesday, it looks like Licorice Pizza is coming out. Infinite with Mark Wahlberg, Antoine Fuqua from Paramount Plus is getting a physical release. Femme Fatale, I think, Antonio Banderas, Rebecca Romaine is another Shout Factory. The highly underrated Hell or High Water looks like it's getting a 4K. couple cash grab combo packs. And then the Tuesday before the next episode, The Batman comes out. Some Jack Ryan movies get 4Ks. Looks like Malignant is getting a 4K. That Teen Titans, there's a Teen Titans Blu-ray coming out that I'll probably like blind buy. I don't know. X comes out that everybody's talking about in March. The Ray Donovan movie is coming out on Blu-ray that I still have on my DVR. Yeah, man. So come and kick it with us. We 3 deep talking Doctor Strange. It's Rec League. And we back. First episode in this summer movie season. First episode post a new MCU release. If you're on YouTube, even if you're listening, that voice is not Eric Sigmund. We got my guy, been on like 1 episode a year, Javon Merritt. Shout out your social media. You don't be on the show frequently enough for casuals to remember.
Just my thoughts, one, on everything. Real simple, like
JUST.
JUSMI thoughts, one. You know what I mean?
Nick, your face is cut off.
Good.
Lower that shit.
Lower it?
Yep.
Good. That was my goal.
Y'all know Nick good, man. Always giving me flack on this podcast. So I say MCU because we are talking Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And this is your warning right now. If you have not seen this movie, turn this shit off. We are talking spoilers. Everything is fair game to talk about. So see the movie, come back, listen, and or watch us. Merritt, man, I'm gonna let you start because I think me and Nick had similar reactions. Like we liked it, but we didn't like lose our shit, go crazy. And you love this shit, man. So your theories, your reactions, I want everything on wax.
All from jump, right?
Yep.
I love this movie. Before I go into all of that specifically, I want to say that when it comes to the MCU, I a long time ago got past the whole everything being exactly the way the comics were and how they were in the comics. So I'm going into these movies just seeing what MCU is gonna, give us. You know what I'm saying? Like, and going into the movies like that have made them way more enjoyable for me because when I was going in and saying, "Oh, that's not canon," it took away some of what I was trying to get from these movies. So with that said, I went into Doctor Strange not expecting the House of M or not expecting, what we would go in expecting from the comics. So I went into this movie like, what are they going to give me? And how is it going to play into the multiverse moving forward? And I really felt like I loved this movie because I didn't feel like it was a finish, the story movie or a movie that was supposed to complete something. It was an in-between movie. I thought this movie was an in-between movie to introduce, new characters that we're going to need in the future, as well as themes and things that we're going to need in the future. And with that, I love this movie for that reason. Theory-wise, I think that our Doctor Strange from the 616, because now they say we are the 616, our universe. I think our Doctor Strange is going to create an Illuminati, his version of an Illuminati. Not specifically to fight, but this whole inclusion thing. Is that what it's inclusion, right?
Incursion.
Incursion, that's what it is. Incursion with the worlds collapsing amongst each other. I think what he's going to end up doing is he's going to form his own Illuminati with different leading characters from other worlds.
That'd be dope.
So, he's going to be the 616 leader. He's probably going to get a Black Bolt from a different universe. And then, just the same way it was in the movie, except they're not going to all be from one universe. I think it's going to be someone to represent all the different universes, because that way everybody has a say in what worlds get to survive and which ones don't. You know what I'm saying?
That's dope.
Because I think it's going to come down to what I think it's going to come down to is once things start colliding and instead of both worlds being destroyed, one is going to get saved and one is going to get destroyed. That's how it's going to have to play out. And I think this Illuminati is going to be providing guidance on which ones survive and which ones don't, which means a lot. I think where the problem is going to be, where the Illuminati is going to have an issue, I think it's going to be like a civil war again, because it's going to be the Illuminati and then all the other superheroes that's going to have an issue with these decisions being made for them, if that makes sense.
Or even like when they decide that one of their worlds has to go and then one of them disagree.
Right. But then you so say Professor X is is the representative from one world, right? And the Illuminati decide that his world is one that has to go, so everybody's going to have to move to another universe, right? Because that world is gonna go. Wolverine from that universe or Jean or somebody might not agree with that. An Avenger member from that world is going to be like, no, why do our world have to go? But the Illuminati has made that decision. So I think there's going to be a time where the Illuminati is going to be versus everyone. I think that's going to be something that plays out in the future. I think it's going to be a big deal.
I could dig that.
As far as Scarlet Witch goes, we saw where she kind of, committed suicide on herself, killed herself along with, everything that she had going on, because she saw what she saw with her kids or whatever. But I do think that the Wanda that she was using in the Doctor Strange movie is now going to be a problem for everybody else, especially the people from that universe that she's from. They're going to view her as a threat, and they're going to hate her as if she was the one that was doing all of that evil stuff, even though we know it was our Wanda that did it. I think that they're not going to allow her to explain that it wasn't her. And it's going to be, I don't know if they're going to give her a new season or if they're going to eventually give her a movie. But the Scarlet Witch story is not over as far as the repercussions of what happened based on this movie. But I do think that the movie, for what it was amazing. I thought that the horror theme of it was great. I was watching this movie. Even tonight, I'm supposed to take my daughter to see it. I'm supposed to see it a second time. I'm nervous about my daughter seeing it. She's 11. She'll be 11 in June. And because of some of the stuff in this movie, I'm kind of like, I don't know if she's going to like this, because that part of it was great. I really do love that season, that part where they showed how powerful the Scarlet Witch really is when she took out the whole Illuminati. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah.
The movie do have problems. It do have some problems. There are some holes. There are some things that could have been done better. But overall, based on what this movie was, I thought it was amazing. And I'll just leave it there until, we get into more of a debate part.
Nick, man, I don't know if you caught them all, but I know that between you, me, and Eric, y'all was bringing it up with Sam Raimi directing this shit. One, I saw something on Twitter that was talking about finally a director puts their mark on the MCU. Bro, James Gunn, Taika Waititi, even Chloe Zhao, directors be leaving their mark on this universe constantly.
Yeah.
But Sam Raimi, Evil Dead, horror influence. You could even see that shit in Spider-Man, but what were some of the specific, because this was horror as compared to the Spider-Man trilogy. What were some of them Evil Dead references and nods that you caught from this movie?
There's something about Sam Raimi's car. I think it's a joke. He lost his virginity in a car, and so the car shows up in all his movies. And I caught it the second time I saw it, but when they're walking around towards the end and the shit is floating in the air and they're oh, this universe is fucked up. The car flies by I was like,
when he's with
like,
Rachel
I was-
McAdams.
yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, cute. And then there's just like, I don't know, like, I was into the movie, like the whole movie. Like it was just so like, I didn't really know what to expect. So like while I was watching, I was like, whoa, that's different. Whoa, I didn't really see that. By the time we got to that last like half hour where they're like in the haunted house and they're doing the music fight, and then he's like, fuck it, I got a dream walk. And then he dream walks himself like into his own dead corpse. I was like, it went from like a 3.5 to like a 6 out of 5. Like, and I was like, dude, this is the best movie I've ever seen. Holy shit. So like that last like half an hour, I wouldn't say like saved it because I was really enjoying it, but it was like, it like bumped it up. I was like, whoa, wait, this is so good. Like I didn't see any of this. Like if I'd have written it out, like, what do you think is going to happen? I wouldn't have thought any of that, like last 30, 40 minutes.
Okay.
And that was pretty much all just like, it was like in the contract. They were like, okay, you got to adhere to the formula, but for the last like half hour of the movie,
Go nuts.
you can do whatever you want. And he was just like,
Bet.
he was like, Drag Me to Hell was PG-13. And they were like, what? And then he just like wrote it into the script. Like he was like, oh. But I don't know. I saw it twice, and like seeing it again, like seeing it a second time, knowing what's going to happen, like not like when your expectations are more in check. It's a lot of the time it's better with a movie like this than it was. Like it was like better to watch it knowing that the Illuminati scene was really the only like,
Yeah.
whoa, like they weren't just going to start throwing cameos at you, which is better. People on Twitter, like to go on Twitter, you would think that that's all anybody wants is just.
We gonna touch on that.
More? Is that everyone? Like they just wanted that scene over and over again, and like it works better in this. It would have been cool to like if they'd have spent a little more time in different universes. They really only spent time in like 2.
Yeah.
But it works like for the plot, and like you said, like Loki is just like the tip of the iceberg as far as like cracking open all these multiverse things. And then like Ant-Man is, I think, gonna be like more like Quantum Mania. It's gonna be more multiverse shit. And then so it's like we've really only, it's like there's more they can do if that's what the people want. There's more coming, I'm sure. Everyone is convinced that Secret Wars is coming, even though they just learned what that is like last week.
Right.
That I did to go on Twitter. Like you can't. It's like you're just on it and you're like you scroll even for like 5 minutes. It's like, oh my god.
Comic book Twitter is a dumpster fire.
Yeah, it's the worst. Everyone's like, Secret Wars is coming, and they're like, it's not a Disney Plus show. And they're like, no, that's Secret Invasion. Like, so they're probably not going to do 2 with like such similar names.
That's the Emilia Clarke show, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that they're I don't think the Secret Wars that Twitter or the people, the casual fans, not the actual, like, they know what they're talking about, they understand the MCU, they've been with it for almost 13 years now, not those fans. But the casual fan, I don't think that Secret Wars, what they're asking for is actually what this is going to be, the way they're asking for it. Like I said, I think that the Secret Wars is actually going to come down to, we got an Illuminati that's making decisions for everybody, and the actual superheroes are not going to agree with that, and they're going to butt heads because of it. I think that's what the Secret Wars is going to actually be. I think they're going to call it Secret Wars, similar to the Civil War movie. Everybody wanted Civil War, but it wasn't the Civil War that.
Yeah, it was Captain America, and also the Civil
Right, and yeah. I think. I think that Marvel, because we are so invested, we understand that Marvel uses the titles. They do. They use the titles from the comic books. They use the titles, but the stories are not the same.
Nah.
And the casual Twitter don't understand that. The Twitter people, they don't understand that. So they're going into these movies like, oh, we're going to get Civil War. We're going to get Secret Wars. We're going to get, and they're going in expecting that. And when it's a different thing, it's disappointment. You know what I'm saying?
And that's why, my bad, man. Finish?
No, go ahead. You're right.
Kevin Feige's already like getting people prepared. Like the Miss Marvel is not going to be the Miss Marvel in this show. And like casual comic book Twitter is already bitching about it.
Yeah, Miss Marvel could be a page-for-page recreation of the comic book, and people would still bitch about it.
Yeah, for sure.
But they're setting her up clearly to be more similar to Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Like, so when that movie comes out, it'll be like them doing similar things. I can see it. Like, I'm like, okay, that's fine with me. Like, I don't really care. Like, I'm like, that works.
Because like,
somebody's going to care. Like, we're going to get on Twitter and it's like, wow, woke.
The MCU is creating their own canon that doesn't necessarily have to be an exact translation from the comic.
That's what I'm saying. At this point, it's like, I'm not saying like these are the new comics, because comics are still a thing of the always been thing. But it's like, this is like, it's like a new, it's not just movies, like a whole new medium. It's like, oh, Taika Waititi's run on Thor was great. Mm-hmm. Sam Raimi did Spider-Man, and then he did Doctor Strange. It's kind of, you talk about it the same way you talk about
that's pretty dope.
To me. Yeah, like, that's how I think. I'm like, oh, interesting. Tim Burton, remember when he did Batman? Like, that was cool. It's like everybody gets a new take on it. It's like the same thing in comic book land. Like, oh, new artist take it on, and it's different, but it's new, but it's different.
Can I throw something at y'all that's going to be super dope if my theory is right?
What you got?
All right, so I don't think that Monica Rambeau that was in the movie that we just watched, the Doctor Strange movie, I don't think she's dead. I don't think dropping a rock or her kills her. You know what I'm saying?
Mariah,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't think that she's dead, because I don't think that with her having the power of Captain Marvel, I don't think that dropping a statue on her kills her, right? And then you still they kind of showed her fingers moving, like, you know, I don't think she's dead, but if my theory is right, she's an Illuminati member, right? Which I think I think she would continue to be an Illuminati member. We could literally get a movie where she ends up fighting our Captain Marvel as Captain Marvel, right?
And her daughter from a different universe.
Her daughter, right? And then we could end up seeing White Vision fighting, you know, a normal Vision. We can, like, there's a lot of different stuff that if my theory is right and it plays out that way.
My understanding is the Illuminati took out Thanos before he could even get all the stones, because like you pointed out to me multiple times this week, and when I saw it for the second time yesterday, he definitely did not have all the stones in the gauntlet, and their Strange was the bigger threat. So their Tony Stark is still alive, their Vision is still alive, all of that.
And so that Vision still exists. He's out there. And I think in this Doctor Strange movie, she's a single mother.
Hold on. They had the Ultron bots escorting Strange. So what if Ultron never flipped bad and they never needed Vision?
I don't think that's what happened. I think they were able to reprogram the Vision. I think they were able to reprogram the Ultron. You know what I mean? Because I think that they got to because remember that Ultron didn't create the Ultron bots until he couldn't really get the Vision body.
Yeah, that's
if you
true.
Remember, the Ultron bots came after the Vision, like specifically. He was just using Tony's bots at first.
Yeah.
And then he upgraded them once he couldn't get his Vision body.
Yeah, Nick, who's a dude from The Walking Dead who with the like spike on his hand now that voiced Red Skull in Endgame?
Aaron.
Okay, I saw his name in the credits and he voiced the Ultron bots.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
No idea.
It's got to mean something. We got to dig.
It's all connected.
We got to dig. We got to be like, wait, that means there's no Red Skull on that planet.
Vormir.
Ultron.
There's no Soul Stone Guardian in this universe. So what y'all think about, I guess maybe Strange 3, Charlize Theron popping up as Clea, cutting open to the Dormammu, Dark Dimension. Where y'all think they about to go?
Well, I know in the comics, in the comics, he marries her, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she is Dormammu's sister that he enslaved, right? In the comics, I think.
I don't know nothing about all that.
Right. So
That's interesting.
Dormammu is her brother or whatever in the comics, and he ends up enslaving his family or something. Dormammu becomes like this super powerful being that enslaves his family or whatever, and she goes to Doctor Strange to help her get from under him or something like that.
So,
and then they fall in love. So that's the story. I think that's the comic story.
Benedict Cumberbatch in the first movie did all like the mocap and voice for Dormammu, and that's his sister. So Kevin Feige is setting up some really nasty shit for Doctor Strange 3. I don't know if I can watch that.
I'll watch it.
Freak.
I'm into it.
Freak
I'll watch
nasty.
it for a little intrigue.
And then Eric sent us that TikTok of people like bitching about the post credit scene, and I'm like I sat like a lot of people still leave after the mid credit scene, but there was like a small like group of people that stayed for the Bruce Campbell It's Over thing, and just like that TikTok that Eric sent us, they bitched about it. Like by now, how do people not realize you got your Charlize Theron, you got your breadcrumbs for the next movie. Here comes a dumbass just for laughs. I don't get how people don't understand the formula yet.
Yeah, like it was funny. Like it was a really funny like post credits thing. Like it was like, aha, it's over. Like it was funny. And when I saw it the second time, I didn't stay for it.
Right.
I looked weird. Like I kind of like Naruto ran like out of the. I was like, oh, I gotta go. Like I was like, I wanted to beat the people, and like everybody kind of stared at me. But I was like, I don't have to stay for it second time. But it was funny. It was like the Captain America sitting in the chair. And I was like, oh, it was funny.
Yeah.
I want to watch it again. But yeah, usually the more important thing is in the middle. If there's an important thing, it's usually in the middle.
Well, you have fans now who's picking and choosing, right? So fans like us, we're going to see everything. We have to see everything. We can't miss nothing because we got to be able to put all the pieces together, and we got to see it play out. But then you have your fans who's like, oh, did you see the Spider-Man? I'm going to see Spider-Man. But then they might not see Doctor Strange. But then they may see the next thing, but they won't see this. And then they're not even watching the Disney Plus shows. Like, so you have those fans, right?
That's what I said in my YouTube review.
Are always going to be upset because they don't understand. They're not going to ever understand the formula.
We're at a point. You can't just be fans of your certain characters. You can't, like you said, you can't pick and choose anymore, bro. It's 28 movies, already 6 shows. You have to be a fan of the whole thing, or you're gonna miss out.
But it's always been like that. It's been like that the whole time, though. It literally has. It's been like that literally since the first Incredible Hulk movie.
Yeah.
Because at the end of that movie,
Tony Stark.
It was the whole Iron Man thing. It's been like that since the beginning. People are just not invested the same way, and they want to come in their moment and then complain about how they don't understand or why this happening or that's messed up. And it's like, bro, you're just not invested. Like, us as fans, we're gonna have to get to a point where we're just ignoring them
sure.
Because they're not. We're getting bothered. Like, how do you not get that? When the reality is they're not supposed to, bro. They're just not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're not supposed to get.
Do you read like reviews? Which I never read a review before I see it. Like I usually will read it while I'm driving on the way home. Like I don't care about other drivers. But it's like I'll read it and it'll be like they'll always mention something about like the uninitiated. They're like, well, the uninitiated are screwed on this one. Like Infinity War, they were like, you're not gonna know what the hell is going on. I was like, it's been around for, at that point, I was like, it's been around for 10 years. I'm like, you've had a decade. Even if you skip 1 or 2, you've had a decade to know, like, the foundation of what's going on. Like, the Civil War was, like, the big thing. Like, you know that's why Steve and Tony aren't talking to each other. I was like, you've had 10 years. They've got to do this movie. They did it in, like, 2.5 hours. I was like, they had to cram it as it was. Like, they don't have time to, like, that's why I kind of thought, I was like, the Disney Plus shows, I was like, it's a great idea. It's also like a big risk. And this was kind of the first movie where it was like,
yeah,
because a lot of people, like, I know my dad watched WandaVision back when it was on. I don't know if he really retained it.
Right.
And so when he goes to watch this, he's not really going to remember. Like, I don't know if WandaVision made, like, the massive impact that one of the movies would, like, simply because it was Wanda and Vision. It kind of made it made an impact with, like, the fandom. Like, the fans all loved it. But,
Still
like,
my favorite one.
on the whole, like, I don't think there's a lot of people going into this that aren't even thinking about WandaVision. They're like, oh, it's Wanda, cool. Oh, yeah, she had that show. But they aren't thinking, they're just like, oh, yeah, the show where it was like a sitcom. Like, that's what they aren't thinking, like, oh, yeah, it's going to have massive repercussions for what this story is. Like, I was surprised. I was like, oh, they're getting right into it. They're not even giving her time to, like, talk about the book. Like, she's just like, oh, by the way, I'm evil. It was like, oh, shit. Nobody's going to know what's going on. Like, I was kind of looking around. I was like, is anybody confused?
Dude, like,
Good.
28 movies. How many other movies just started, like, scene one, frame one, action? You're right into it.
I thought we did that very well, too.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
Movie, that was one of my favorite things. Like, when I say that I love this movie, did it have some issues? Yes. But I'm not going to, like, say I don't love a movie based off of those issues, because that's me dwelling, right?
Mm-hmm.
The things that they did right in this movie, they really did it right, though. You know what I mean? And Marvel, that's kind of where Marvel is. Just like, okay, each movie they're going to have some misses or some things that we're not going to like so much. But the things that they're going to do right, they do it really right. Like, they did the Illuminati. When they brought the Illuminati out, when they showed it, my theater went crazy. Okay? People were clapping. They did it right. They did the fan service. They gave the fans the people they wanted, the versions that they wanted of those characters. They did that right. And to watch Wanda wreck them the way she did was like, oh, this is crazy. Like, I remember sitting there, I was sitting there, and I went by myself the first time. I was sitting there. The Black Bolt scene, I was like, oh, this is crazy. This is legit. And then when she started chasing Doctor Strange and American Chavez, when she was chasing them, I was like, this is amazing. Like, this is crazy. And then the beginning of the movie, like the way the movie started, where he was at the wedding and then immediately it was like something happening. And the fact that we know that Wanda was the reason for that, and we found that out later, was incredible to me. I don't think that sometimes we watch movies for what they are, and I don't think we give enough credit for seeing something and then having to go through it, and then mid-movie be like, oh, that happened because of that. You know what I mean? I think sometimes we just watch and then we say, oh, I don't really like that, or that could have been better, or whatever. And it's like, it is better because we get it explained 45 minutes later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But I think that, and I agree, like what Nick said, like, I think on second watch, this movie gets better. I think on third watch, this movie gets better.
So from that initial Defender Strange, America Chavez at the very beginning, when they're almost at the Ashanti book, that creature that's from What If, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Sure.
And see, like,
that's something else that no one watched. Like, that's, everybody in the theater is like, oh, cool, monster. And I'm like, well, like, you want to mansplain, you want to turn around and be like, well, it's technically, but then, you can't do that.
What If, episode number 4.
Yeah, if you'd have been caught up on episode 4.
And see,
I meant to rewatch Doctor Strange What If before the movie, but I forgot. I know nobody else did.
Hitting on the Illuminati. Like, I know I asked y'all. I asked Sigmund. I asked my guy, Benny, from work. I tried to get him on the pod, but he got shit going on. I even asked my wife. I feel like between Loki, and me and Mary had this conversation, I think between Loki, even Spider-Man No Way Home, WandaVision, What If, the way that they kind of, like, built up to this movie had us assuming that they was gonna just, like, speed bag cameos on your fucking chin. And That's why I asked y'all. Like, Merritt thought Robert Downey Jr. was gonna pop up in this movie. So did my wife. Benny thought like some version recast Doctor Doom. Me and Eric thought Deadpool was gonna pop up, and Nick said 2005 Mr. Fantastic. Technically, Nick was the closest.
I would have bet money that it would have been the 2005 dude, and not someone else. I would have. I don't know, not a lot of money, but I've been like, I'll bet Reed Richards is in it, but it's gonna be that guy. Because why not? I still might have preferred that, but I like what we got.
Yeah.
I don't think that I would have been wrong if real life didn't come into play though, because I really thought I told Randy that is no way in the world that they ever do Illuminati and not have a version of Black Panther and Iron Man. Like, one of them would be there. That was what I had told him. Like, one of them would be, you're gonna either have Black Panther or Iron Man. In a real life, in the comics, it was both, right? You're gonna have one of them. And because we watched Robbie Downey Jr. die, my thought was, if Chadwick Boseman don't die, that he would have been in this movie on the Illuminati.
No question.
You know what I mean? That kind of thing. I thought that would have definitely been.
That's why I thought Michael B. Jordan from What If was going to be in it.
I think we actually got more cameo than I thought we would get. I think we got more cameo than we realized we got, because when you get Black Bolt, then you now know that the Inhumans exist, right? When you get Professor X, now you know that the X-Men exist. So I think that we actually got more cameo than we thought. Not person for person, celebrity, but they introduced all of these different hero groups by just giving us one representative of them.
Yo, but sense. Like, for like fan service and the cameos, two things. One, when Professor X rolled up, I don't think that many casuals caught the score from the X-Men animated show from the 90s. I geeked the fuck out when I heard that, those couple of notes.
The second time, because people were screaming the first time.
And then, because nobody watched the Inhumans TV show, not a lot of people realized that that's the actor that played Black Bolt on the show.
Yeah. See, I watched it. I actually liked the Inhumans.
Bro, he was like the guy with the fork on his head.
Yeah.
Strange went in there talking shit.
I think that, like, they kind of, like, most of the Illuminati got spoiled for me, but, like, by Marvel. Like, I saw a rumor, like, one of those, like, Twitter rumor things about Anson Mount being in it, like, months ago. Damn. And I thought, okay. Like, I thought, well, that's probably a rumor. Even though it would make sense, I was like, it's probably, nobody remembers that TV show. But then I was like, whatever. And then, you know, Patrick Stewart's voice was in that trailer, and that was enough. Like, They should have just left it at that. But then his, like, arm was in one of the commercial things. Like, when he rolled up, it was his arm. I saw Captain Carter's shield in a commercial.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, fuck, really? And then you saw Captain Marvel. You saw that picture that everybody was arguing about. Like, is that Tony Stark? And it was like, yeah, totally. And it wasn't. But it was like her. So I was like, I knew all of them were going to show up at some point.
They put Captain Carter's shield on the poster.
They didn't. Look at the poster.
They did.
Wait, like the one with all the glass?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Remember, it was probably like a shard of like Zombie Strange or whatever, and we were just like, oh, that's Deadpool.
Right.
I could have sworn there's that little shard in the bottom corner. I'm looking at it right now. It looks like Deadpool's face. Where is it? I don't see it. Whatever.
I do remember seeing the shield before seeing the movie, like knowing,
like
okay.
A week or two out, they did start putting Captain Carter in the TV spots.
Yeah, like fuck.
Like super lame.
Marvel don't have to do that at this point.
They don't.
I feel like they do a good job of like selling a movie and everything that be in the trailers be from like the first 20 minutes. I think they do a good job of that. but I feel like what they do give away don't be necessary. You know what I mean?
Let's not gloss over that Mary just said doo doo.
Dude, you're being childish.
But I do
Hey,
think
that's what I
I
do,
think
baby.
You're being childish.
That's what
not
I do.
that everything needs to be like, oh, and here's a cameo, here's a cameo. Like, I'm definitely like, we don't need to go in that direction. Maybe they're thinking like, that's not what we're trying to do, so let's show them a little bit of what's going to happen. But I do think like Captain Carter throwing the shield is like, people were like, whoa. I think it would have been like an ape shit moment
Yeah.
if she hadn't been even hinted at. It would have been like,
I kind of think that, like, I saw like a stupid Google link that was saying the MCU needs to stop with all of the never-ending cameos or whatever they worded it. I don't think it was for cameo purposes. I think it was just like Merritt said, this universe has all these different heroic factions established.
yeah, like a lot of that was built up with people's like weird expectations after No Way Home. It was like, that wasn't cameos. That was like the three Peters were all characters in the story. Like, it was
Peter
all
3.
to bring the Spider-Man together. Those weren't cameos.
It's like,
they were all
with-
featured in the movie.
With these villains in No Way Home, what do you expect?
Yeah, like,
Charlie Cox was the cameo. Andrew and Toby were story.
yeah, like, it's fun to think like, well, if that's possible, who knows what's possible now? And like, I get that. I love that. Like, when Professor X is in this movie, it's like, holy fuck, it's Patrick Stewart. Like, what else is possible? I love that. But at the same time, I'm not expecting like Ben Affleck's Daredevil to be Peter's lawyer the next time because of some incursion. It would be fun. I'm not like, oh, well, that's disappointing that it's not Ben Affleck. Like, no, it doesn't need to be every. It would be cool.
Yeah.
I don't need 3 Hulks in a movie.
I look at
Those stupid people.
I look at the cameo situation totally different though. I don't view the Illuminati or, you know, Daredevil and Spider-Man. I don't really view those as cameos as much as I view them as introductions, because I know in the future they're coming back, right? A cameo to me would be like they speed through a multiverse and we see Tom Cruise as Iron Man. That would have been a cameo. We know he's not coming back. That was just fan service. That's a cameo.
Yeah.
To me. You know what I mean?
Stan Lee was a cameo.
Them putting Daredevil and Spider-Man is them saying, okay, we got Daredevil in the universe. You know what I mean?
I was watching it yesterday trying to guess where Stan Lee would have popped up.
Right.
Yeah, probably at the wedding
or in the multiverse universe scenes.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, they literally float through 19 different universes at that time.
Damn,
when they're doing that. They float through 19 different ones, and I think all of those 19, maybe not the paint one.
No, I want an all paint movie.
All those 19, I think, are going to play out in some way. Like, I think they're all going to matter.
I want an all paint MCU movie.
That'd be horrible.
It would.
And just a what if episode that's just paint.
That's what it'll be.
Like
what if
Peter Parker?
That's what if season 2. What if season 2 is gonna have an episode with that animation?
What if paint? Okay.
That would be crazy.
Paint.
But I don't think that this movie was meant. They called it Multiverse of Madness, and that's Marvel using the titles again, but it not being what it means in the comics, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people are very upset, like, well, they called it Multiverse of Madness, and they were only in 2 universes. Like, there's a lot of people upset about that specifically.
That's one of my huge dings.
This movie was meant to just have them in a bunch of different multiverses. I think this movie was meant to introduce us to the fact that there's a bunch of different multiverses.
I think in those 40 minutes that got cut, there's at least 5 to 10 minutes in one other universe.
Probably. Yeah.
And some of that is marketing too. Like they know that they kind of marketed this as a direct follow-up to No Way Home. Like, with that first little teaser with, Wong is like, don't cast the spell and all this stuff. Like, they everybody, like those dudes, those Instagram dudes that show up on the theater screen that are always talking about, like, let's talk about movies that we're excited about this summer. Like, they all were like, the dude was like, he's going through multiverse, he's going to different universes, fixing his mistakes after everything he did in No Way Home. Like, that's not the plot at all.
No.
They know they kind of set it up to be that, but they reference No Way Home, like, for 10 seconds. Like, they have that little conversation about Spider-Man, and that's it. So it's like, some of that is in the marketing, but it's also kind of like, just because your expectations weren't, like, met, doesn't mean it's disappointing. Like, I feel like that's what people are like, oh, man, it should have been this. It's like, well, that's just something you wanted to see. That doesn't mean it's wrong in its approach.
I think
it would have been cool if they'd have walked around in different universes, but, like, what would they have done at the same time? Right. It's like, what would it have...
They would have been doing it for the sake of doing it. Having one huge fight going from multiverse to multiverse is just something that we kind of already seen in a Spider-Man movie. You know, with Mysterio, where he was in the, with all the different illusions. We've kind of seen it already, though. Like, it's not like it was necessary. But I think Marvel would benefit. I think that they would be really smart if they stopped giving movies to particular people and just gave you the time. Like, I think the movie shouldn't have been Doctor Strange. I think it should have just been Multiverse of Madness. And then, because I could argue that this movie was just as much a Scarlet Witch movie as it was. I felt like this was more of a Scarlet Witch movie than it was a Doctor Strange movie. And you know what I mean? And I could argue that.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And it wouldn't have hurt them to just call it Multiverse of Madness instead of calling it Doctor Strange. The same thing when they did Captain America Civil War. I felt like it was just as much Iron Man's movie as it was Captain America's, right? And I feel like it's not necessary to give the movie to one person. You know what I mean? It could have just been Civil War, and it would have worked the same. And I think people go in with expectations when they're doing that. Because there's some people like, this movie wasn't even really about Doctor Strange. This movie was about Scarlet Witch. And they're not wrong, but it's like...
The character in the title gets the casuals to buy tickets.
It's the people that went in and call it Doctor Strange 2.
Right.
Like, it's like Doctor Strange 2. It's Captain America 3. It's like, it's really not Doctor Strange 2. It's actually more... And then you're the asshole, like, when you do that. It's like, It's like, okay, whatever, bro. Right. But it's like, yeah, like, it is in Doctor Strange 2. It's like, what? It's Doctor Strange came out 6 years ago. It's like, this is a follow-up to No Way Home. This is a follow-up to Endgame. This was a lot of references to Endgame.
That's another reason I love this movie. Didn't I tell you that before you watch the movie? I was like, dude, it's probably important to watch Infinity War and Endgame before this. Yeah, like, it's probably super important. Yeah. And I thought that this was like you said, it's a super follow-up to the Scarlet Witch show. Definitely a follow-up to that, because it kind of started where Scarlet Witch ended. For Wanda, it kind of started right where it left off with her. Yeah. Right? It's a lot of follow-ups to a lot of different things. And that was one of the reasons I loved the movie, is because we had a lot of things that we were waiting to get answered, and it got answered with this movie. You know what I'm saying? Going right into them, which I thought was great. And they did it in a short amount of time. Like, this was not a 3-hour movie, so they did it. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, the pacing was tight. It was go, 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 go. There's really not any time to catch your breath. But piggybacking off of WandaVision, some little Easter egg shit. Her kids are named Billy and Tommy. Was there ever any point where they was wearing blue and green?
It was in this movie. They were wearing their colors.
They was wearing those colors in this movie?
Yeah, they were wearing their colors in this movie.
So this now the MCU is connected to the Power Rangers.
I guess so.
It's all connected.
Those kids, every scene that I've seen them in, they've been wearing some version of their color. Can I just say, while we're talking about this,
no,
I still think it's dumb that Quicksilver died by bullets. I still think that's stupid. I just wanted to say that.
I feel like that's something they regret now. I feel like now that, like, Age of Ultron was a big deal, but it was still just kind of Avengers 2. So they were just like, we're doing another one. And I feel like now, like, knowing everything we know about the universe, like, if they could go back and fix something, that's one of the things they'd be like, yeah, we kind of fucked that up. You should have
That,
left him
or,
in.
dude, specifically because in that same movie, they literally gave him a scene where he was moving like incredibly fast and everybody else was in slow motion, right? In that same movie, like they gave him a scene like that. So there's no way that in that scene he doesn't slow everything else down and move those bullets or move them out of the way before those bullets can hit them. There's no way that happens. But whatever, I digress. It was a long time ago. But I'm just saying I wanted to say that because we were talking about one of the kids is a speedster. So
It's been 7 years.
But bro, it's still stupid.
Get over it, Wanda. Yeah.
Yo, Stranger spitting facts on her though. He's like, you don't have kids. You made them up. They don't exist.
Wanda was spitting facts too.
She was. Where
He was like,
Elizabeth Olsen gets better
That's what I'm like.
every time she plays this character.
No, she's incredible. I think we give mad credit to Thor for being picked. You know, Chris Hemsworth for being picked for being the perfect Thor. We give Robert Downey Jr. the credit for being the perfect Iron Man. We do that a lot, and I think that we need to at this point start giving Elizabeth Olsen her credit for being the perfect Scarlet Witch / Wanda.
Facts.
I honestly couldn't see nobody else being that character now.
It's to the point in this universe where a lot of these actors and characters are unrecastable.
Right. It is.
Yeah,
And-
it doesn't happen as often now, but there are a few actors who have grown into the characters. Where Chris Hemsworth is probably the biggest example.
Yeah.
Like from the first Thor, I think he was good, and then by the time you got to Ragnarok, it was like, dude, no one else is like that's my guy. Like that's my Thor forever. And Elizabeth Olsen is one of those. Like she's been consistently great, but the character was never really treated like an MVP.
Yeah.
Like even in like Infinity War, it was like, why was she up there all this time? Like it was like, yeah, that doesn't make sense because she could like mop like half these people with her like if she was mad. So now, yeah, like she could just do one of these and half of the alien things would have been
Done.
gone. It's like now that we've established like what a great character it is, like yeah, it's kind of like, oh, by the way, Elizabeth Olsen kills this every single time. Where it was like, that was WandaVision. That was they both because Paul Bettany was really good too, and they both got to shine on the show in a way they didn't really get to in the movie.
Elizabeth Olsen really like came front and center with the whole I don't even know who you are.
You will.
Ever since then, she's been the shit.
That was to me that was like the snap. She was like, fuck that. Like that's what the evil it's like, okay, you know what? Is there like an evil spell book I could read or something? Because this sucks.
On that note though, I feel like ever since Wong You're Invited My Wedding, he's just become like that fan favorite. Yes, Wong is in this. Shang-Chi.
He's been in more movies than Strange.
Yeah.
I told Randy, I said Wong is going to die in this movie.
And
Because
twice, I thought you were right.
You could always have that one character that's loved, that's a fan favorite, that's left their mark. But in a movie like this, the bad person has to make an example of how strong they are to somebody. And I thought that Scarlet Witch would do that with Wong. Like, people would be really, like, flabbergasted that she killed Wong, right? And I thought that's literally what was going to happen, was that Wong was going to be the character that we were going to lose as an example of how strong Wanda was. And I told Randy before the movie, I was like, I don't think Wong makes it out of this movie. And he almost did it at least 2 times.
Yeah.
I thought so too. I thought it was like, remember like Agent Coulson died. And it worked. Everybody was like, no. But we didn't really care about Agent Coulson until the Avengers movie when he kind of played a bigger role.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, oh no. But like Wong has been in so many movies that it would have been like, he's always super supporting that. Like he's never been, so we don't really know anything about Wong. But it still would have been like, no. But it would also have been like an excuse for Strange to become the Sorcerer Supreme again.
And that was my reason too. I was like, at some point he has to become Sorcerer Supreme, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, that was the other reason, because I thought that was going to be like the thing, like everybody's going to be sad, but then that was going to allow Doctor Strange to say, okay, it's my time to really show, you know what I mean? I thought it was going to be one of those moments, but I'm glad that Wong made it though. I am, but I didn't think
that was. He's like who's Aquafina's character? Like Katie or something? No,
Yeah.
is her
I
name
forget.
Katie in that movie?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, he's like Shang-Chi, and Katie's like liaison into the Avengers or whatever. So it's like to kill Wong. I was well, then how does he? And they still got to figure out what's like in the rings. Like, let's not go into another movie. I don't want to lose sight that them rings got some deeper shit going on.
It's a lot of. I was telling you this too, Randy. This is not like the early phases of Marvel. There's a lot of different shit going on right now in Marvel. Like there's so many different storylines, and we don't know what's going on with King the Conqueror. We don't know what's going on with Doctor
Until
Strange and
February.
the Third Eye and all that. We don't know what's going on with that. It's so many different. The multiverse, the Young Avengers. We still got a new Captain America. There's so many different things going on right now, and we're just in limbo. Like we don't know. Like and it wasn't like this before. Before, as long as you was keeping pace, you kind of knew what was going on. Even to the point that like, okay, Thanos is coming soon at some point. We kind of knew, right? Right now, as Marvel fans that's really committed, we have no clue what's happening right now.
Yeah, because I don't like.
And that's, I don't mind that. Some people are like, yeah, it's so frustrating, like it's so random. And like in my eyes, I'm like, look, they got to Endgame. Everything else is just icing on the cake. Like they did that. Like they did Endgame. They pulled it off. They did the 1-2 punch. They don't have to do anything else. Everything else is icing on the cake at this point. Like it's like here, fuck it. Here's a new blade. Like it doesn't have to make sense. Like I'm like, it's fine. Like let's see what's next. But like we've had 2 Spider-Man movies since Endgame. 2.
Yeah.
Like people aren't even thinking that it's like look, like there's, I guess I don't want to say there's an Endgame, but there's like a place that they're trying to get to. They're just like taking their own pace with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just said, like we have a new Captain America. We've barely even acknowledged that, like outside of the show, like at all. So it's like
we
that's
have
gotta
to
be
deal with
talked
things
about.
as they happen. Yeah, we have to deal with things as they happen because it's so much going on that we can't even have conversations about everything at one time, which is awesome. And I don't question Marvel about anything anymore because at one point it was impossible to be able to do a full Avengers movie where there was 6 different heroes. That was impossible. And then they did it, right?
Yeah.
And then there was an Ultron movie, and it was bigger, and then they did that, right? And then it was like Infinity War, and it was like, oh shit, the villain won. That doesn't happen, and they did that, right? And then it was like, and then we got Endgame, and they did Endgame. It was like 100 different like superheroes in that movie at one time on screen at once. At that point, I was like, whatever they do, they got it. I don't know.
That's like how are we questioning it? Every time I rewatch Endgame, I figure I'm like, dude, like, how is anybody questioning? Like, look at this. Like every time they show up, and it's like they're all walking out, and it all makes sense. Everybody's with who they're supposed to be with. I was like, so much thought went into it. Like this was like meticulous thought. This wasn't just like, how can we make the fans happy? I was like, everybody came out exactly how they were supposed to come out. They came out flying on horses and shit. I mean, they were putting people in there that we didn't even see because they were like, well, this is the Wakanda army, and this is going to be the Asgard army. It's like people we didn't even see, but they're like, obviously they would be.
I couldn't believe they did all that. I could not believe that.
Like they introduced Shang-Chi. Yeah, like they introduced Shang-Chi now because that's when they want to. Like he'll make sense.
Exactly.
Who cares? Like at this point, I'm like, who cares?
Kevin Feige came out within the last like month or so and was like, I'm starting to plan the next 10 years of the MCU. Like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. All I know is we're about to have an Illuminati, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, the Inhumans, a Young Avengers, a Dark Avengers, a regular bro. It's so much stuff going on right now. It's great, and I have no questions because I watched them do Endgame. Because I've seen them do Endgame with all those characters, I have no concern for Secret Wars with 6 million. I have no concern because I've seen them do it. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and even if it sucks, like even if they give us something and it's like not good, I don't really care. Like I'm just like, you know what, whatever.
It's been a
You know,
long
they can't all be winners. You got to fall off sometime.
Yeah.
They gave us Endgame. Like we got to Endgame with no misses. People will tell you now retroactively that Ant-Man wasn't good or Thor: The Dark World wasn't good.
They're crazy.
But like, no, they were all good. Some were just way better than
That
that.
expectation level, though. That's what, like that, and I was about to say that. It's like when we say that wasn't good, we're not saying we didn't enjoy it. We're just saying that's not at the level of something else, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what we're saying. Like there's a lot of movies in the MCU when you have to rank them, right? When you rank them, you have to rank them, right? Something has to be last. It doesn't mean it wasn't enjoyable, but it had to be last, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to.
So we've been talking about these Kendrick albums the other day.
Like, that's how I felt about Eternals. Like, it was getting like mixed at best reviews. When I saw it, it was good. Like, it was kind of good as shit. Like, I was watching, there were parts of it that I was like, dude, this rules. It's just different. It's weird. Like, it doesn't really, you know, it's not like hitting the same way as some of the other movies. So it's ranked very low in my ranking. But then when somebody talks shit on it, I'm like, there's two movies now, almost in a row, that didn't adhere to the Marvel formula that these normies are always complaining about.
Well, their problem is this. The problem is this. Eternals, Black Widow, Shang-Chi, these movies are coming after Endgame, man.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
that is the Endgame is the peak of Infinity War and Endgame, because you kind of have to put them together. They were back to back. Those two movies were like the peak of greatness, right? But now they're having to start over. And when you have to start over, you can't expect every movie to be on Endgame level. So stop comparing it that way. Because we didn't do that at first. We didn't do that with the original Iron Man. We didn't do that with the original Incredible Hulk. We didn't do that with the original movies. You know what I mean? So allow Marvel to rebuild whatever they're building right now without comparing it to Endgame and you know what I'm saying?
Let's take a break. All right, fuck it. Let's just jump into the box office because Nick brought that shit up before I hit record. So, just like I did with the cameos that all of us were wrong on, I asked everybody, including Sigmund, including my guy Benny from work, what everybody thought that opening weekend was going to look like. Merritt said 200 exactly. Benny said 205. I said 180. Eric said 150. And then Nick gave me upper hundreds or something like that. So I just put 180 down for you.
I was thinking like 180 to 190. I didn't think it was going to crack 200.
Okay, so if
it could have.
If we price is right this shit, closest without going over, me and Nick was the closest. Sorry, Javon.
Okay, look, this is the thing, okay? This is the thing. I knew that it would be somewhere between 180 and 200. So I just went with the high, right? Now, I'm not going to call any names. Randy did say 180.
Put it out there.
He said 180 without confidence. He really thought it was going to be closer.
Yeah, no confidence.
Yeah, he thought it was going to be closer to 150. And I was kind of like trying to sell him that this movie would really sell tickets like that.
That's
you know what I mean?
That's facts.
Buzz, like, especially when it got closer to it, like the buzz was insane. Like it's all anybody was talking about. To the point where even still, like when I'm hearing about it, like you had explained this to 12-year-old me that Doctor Strange 2 was going to be like the biggest movie of that year. I'd have been like, get the fuck out of it. Like, what are you even talking about? Like the Doctor Strange movie is going to make almost as much as the second Avengers movie. I'd have been like, okay, yeah, me too.
Like, title that sold it though. It's the multiverse of madness.
Yeah, like it wasn't just Doctor Strange. Like it was the follow-up to No Way Home. I said, everybody liked No Way Home. Everybody went and saw that shit. So like, I didn't think it would be that big. I was like, it's gonna open less than No Way Home. It's not gonna be like the exact same thing. Some people were like, it could go as high as 220. I was like, no,
that's too crazy.
But I was thinking it could crack 200 if it was like just the buzz, like waves of people coming in. But I was thinking, in my head, it was like 180, 185. So
yeah, before we move
I don't know
on,
what
it opened at 187.42
yeah.
after the actual numbers came out.
Yeah. I wish I could have done these like box office predictions like 10 years ago. Like I used to not really care. Like it used to just be like, oh, cool. Like I don't know what I thought the first Avengers was gonna open to, but I remember when it cracked 200, it was like
Crazy.
The biggest jaw-dropping thing. Like no fucking way. Like no movie's ever gonna do this.
Yeah, people were losing their shit.
Yeah.
And then I still feel like Ultron would have broken that record if like the Pacquiao Mayweather fight wasn't that same weekend, and then Jurassic World came out and went gangbusters. Then The Force Awakens came and cracked that in the same year.
Yeah, that was weird. I remember that. I remember being like, why do people care about any other fight than like there's a Hulkbuster suit in this movie and he's fighting the Hulk? Like at the time, I was like, dude, who cares about any other fight? But then I remember going to a bar and watching the fight. Like after seeing Age of Ultron the second time, I think it was like, what was that, like Saturday?
Yeah.
We went to a bar and like watched the fight. And I was like, I did both. Why can't everyone else do that?
Yeah, right?
Yeah, like I was like, I did both. I got to watch two great fights. I don't even remember that fight. I remember the Hulkbuster suit.
Hell yeah.
That scene was awesome in that movie.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Don't mention Puny Banner.
That scene was awesome in that movie.
That Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron is the other movie that opens action right off the bat.
Yes.
This movie gets disrespected. That initial scene, that first scene of Ultron, might be the best opening scene in all of Marvel.
It might be.
That opening scene might be the best opening scene of any Marvel movie.
I still laugh my ass off at is nobody really going to acknowledge the fact that Cap just said language?
Yeah. That shit's great. I like that it's not like set up, like it wasn't like all set up like, well, guess we better call Clint. Or like, who do we know that's really smart? And like they have to go find everybody again. Like the Avengers are an established thing. It's like a government operation. And it's treated that way.
Yeah.
Like it's a job for all of them. It's not just like, I'm doing this for justice. Like it's a job. It's like, we need you to go get Loki's thing or whatever they're doing. I forget. But it's like, okay. So it's like it just starts and they're all there. It's like they don't love each other, but it's like, yeah, we're working together. They're coworkers.
The last time that
might be the most underrated MCU.
Keeping it Doctor Strange connected, the last time that we technically saw Wanda as bad.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah, she was meant to be bad, bro. She was
a beast in that movie.
Elizabeth Olsen is better as the Scarlet Witch than she is as Wanda.
She gets more. It's like more to do. Like I know if you asked her, like it's like which do you like playing more? Until other than like maybe WandaVision, like she's like, oh fuck yeah, I like being Scarlet Witch. Like Civil War, she just kind of sat on the bed and cried for like the whole movie.
Yeah.
Something that I told Randy that I think is important. I kind of touched on it a little bit. Well, you know, our Wanda is supposed to be dead, right? Our Wanda is supposed to be dead. She, dropped the cape on herself, blah, blah, blah. She's supposed to be gone, right? But there's the Wanda that she used from that other universe, right? That pretty much killed the Illuminati and all that. She's going to become a hated figure, which I kind of touched on, right? But, in that universe, she was kind of living the whole single mom, happy-go-lucky, I got my kids, perfectly happy, right? And when she becomes enemy, where they feel like she's a threat, the first thing they're going to do is take her kids, right?
Yeah.
The first thing they're going to do, they're going to go after her, they're going to take her kids, and that Wanda is going to end up becoming a Scarlet Witch as well. I think that's when we're going to get more of the her being the Scarlet Witch of the M story. You know what I'm saying? Like the House of M. I think the House of M is more going to be that Scarlet Witch than it is ours. Like I think that they're going to see her as a big threat because they mentioned it in this Doctor Strange movie. Oh, we don't see Wanda as a threat. You're the biggest threat, of our universe, right?
But watching that shit yesterday,
and they're going to take her children.
Captain Marvel in that scene was talking about our Wanda and being able to, we can handle your little witch. She wasn't talking about that one, you know what I mean? But that's still when they thought Strange. Like everybody except Professor X thought that Strange was the end of worlds and all that.
Is Vision still alive in the other Wanda's universe?
Vision?
Yeah.
I'd assume so.
My theory is Vision is still alive.
Thanos never got the stone.
But I think that they're not together. I think that Vision is off doing, I think he's probably off doing his own thing or whatever. I think that he's probably a part of the Avengers.
Maybe he's still Jarvis.
So he knocked her up and left.
Well, I think it's going to be one of those things where she had kids and then she didn't want to be an Avenger no more. Like she didn't want to do it no more. And Vision is still more part of the team. So he's doing Avenger stuff and she's at home. I don't think they're not together like he knocked her up and left. I think it's just like Vision's out doing Avenger stuff and I'm home doing the mother thing because that's what I want to do. I don't want to be Wanda the Avenger. Type
so much potential.
Vision,
I don't even know.
Vision, the avenging deadbeat dad.
Yeah, because they got so much stuff coming out. I don't even know if they're going to touch on all this potential. Like there's so much potential with just Wanda.
I think they will.
Shit, there's 1,000 places we can go, but it's like, but we got to do Blade.
The last little like bullet that I have. Speaking of like touching on and not touching on stuff, I don't feel like they're ever gonna circle back to Mordo from the original movie and his beef with Strange and Wong and all of that. The same way, like I feel like we're never gonna know who bought Avengers Tower after Homecoming.
Elon Musk,
probably.
I think we're gonna get both somewhere.
Of them. Somebody said it was a deleted scene. I don't know, like. People on Twitter just talk. They just say things, and then it's like, wow, you made that up. I'm not going to name names, but, it happens all the time.
Twitter is trash. Like and retweet the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. Follow us on Twitter, though. We're cool. There was... somebody said there was a deleted scene of Wanda killing Mordo. Our Mordo.
Word.
And I'm like, that's kind of cool. I don't know if it's necessary. It's kind of weird.
Mordo or the Mordo from Doctor Strange?
Ours. Yeah.
Oh.
Like real Earths.
Cornrow Dread Mordo is the only Illuminati member that didn't get it from Wanda.
Yeah.
I think that they are going to. I think the whole Mordo and Doctor Strange is going to play out. I think that's going to play out because he survived in that universe, and as far as we know, he's still around in this universe. And if the worlds are going to start colliding, I think that is going to be one of the issues, is that he's going to still feel like he's an Illuminati member. And I don't think Doctor Strange is going to pick him for his new Illuminati that he's going to create. So I think that's going to play out. I think the Fantastic Four is going to buy the Avengers Tower. I think that's still a thing. I think that when they do that movie, we're gonna get that the Avengers Tower was bought by the Fantastic Four.
Reed Richards is gonna come out. I bought this building 7 years ago, motherfucker. Let's move in already.
They're just gonna show it, and it's gonna have the.
I've been in this building for so long. That's like, now you have it.
Right.
They did. They mentioned. Christine mentioned when she had Strange in that cone cube thing. She mentioned Baxter. That stuck out.
There were a couple gasps in my Thursday night. A couple went, ooh, a couple of those, and I was like, turned around, I was like, I like that.
Proud.
There were a couple. Thursday nights are always more fun than the later, seeing it.
Yeah.
Even people were clapping for Black Bolt, and I was like, all right, okay. And then when I saw it again on Saturday evening, And like nobody, like there was
who's
like
that?
it was mostly just shock of Krasinski. Like it was like what?
So those are casual fans. Casual
Yeah.
fans are going to go Saturday. The Marvel Universe nerds are going to see it as soon as they can see it. They're going to do
the casuals are the ones on Twitter clamoring, John Krasinski must play Reed Richards. It's like, bro, really? Like now they're coming out that it was almost Daniel Craig. Like,
I don't even see that.
no.
I barely saw Krasinski, but like, I was like, he'd be fine. Daniel Craig, I can't even picture Daniel Craig like in the suit. Seriously,
No.
I'm sure he would have been fine.
See, I couldn't see Tom Cruise as Iron Man, but I couldn't see. I don't think I could see anybody as Iron Man now after Robert Downey Jr. So
No.
I guess that's just me thing.
In 2007, like when they're greenlighting the movie and doing it, I can see though, like why Paramount would be like, we need a Tom Cruise. We need something like a name to put on the poster.
For like 20, 25 years, like Tom Cruise was Paramount's bread and butter too.
Yeah. It was like they had just renewed his thing.
Tom Cruise has more of a nice guy attitude though. Like he's more of a nice guy. And in order to be Tony Stark, you have to kind of be an asshole in real life. That's how I feel.
Yeah, and he can't play his Tropic Thunder character in Iron Man.
That's the thing. Like somebody would be like, Tom, we need Magnolia Tom. And we need him now. And he'd have been like, I don't know. That's not really my bag.
Well,
Robert Downey Jr. pretty much just got to play himself and the whole MCU. Yeah. You know what I mean? He got to be the same person he is in real life. So
Tom Cruise just be like, well, unless I'm producing the movie and nobody's wearing their mask, that's when you get the asshole.
Fuck! Like, oh shit. Here comes Tom. That's one of my favorite things to talk about with like people like normies. Like people that almost got cast in the MCU or like people that were up. Like Jon Favreau wanted Sam Rockwell for Tony Stark. Like he was in the running too. And it was like, what? But at the same time, it's like,
man. Because Robert Downey Jr. was so perfect that it's just hard to see it anywhere else.
Yeah.
Another way now.
It just, the stars had to align the way that they did for that to work. Like, he didn't get paid a ton of money to do the first Iron Man. He was uninsurable.
Right.
But all that kind of worked in his favor. It was like, trust me. It's going to be great. And I was like, fuck, okay. And it was the best thing of all time.
I feel like somebody else could have played Captain America.
Krasinski was up for it.
But then, but after seeing it though, it's like nobody else could have done that.
No,
that's how I feel too. I remember reading where Chris Evans got cast, and I was kind of like, boring. Like, I was like, whatever.
Downey had to talk him into it.
Winter Soldier. I was like,
Winter Soldier forever was like the best Marvel movie made, like for a long time.
Yeah, it wasn't not.
Yeah,
it was such a like, I don't know. I just feel like people forget the time where it was like you didn't just assume a superhero movie was going to be great. Like you were just like, well, at least we got a Ghost Rider movie.
Yeah.
Shit. At least we got Fantastic Four. Like that's cool. Like,
but that's the time period we're in. I say this to Randy all the time. People, this era, this time period that we in, they don't appreciate things the same way we did 13 years ago or when we were teenagers or whatever. Like music, we appreciated it so much as young people. And now it's like, oh, I heard it. It was okay. And then they move on to the next thing. And we weren't like that. We lived with music. When we were in the 90s, when the album came out, we lived with it, right? And when Marvel first started, when the MCU first started, we were just so appreciative that it was happening, right? It was like, oh, Iron Man? Oh, we were so appreciative. And now we're at that point now where they're seeing Marvel movies and they're like, oh yeah, I saw Doctor Strange. It was cool. Whatever.
Yeah.
What's next? Like, that's
exactly
where we are.
Yeah. And nobody reacted that way to Spider-Man in 2002. Nobody was like, oh, I thought it was cool.
Bro,
it was like, dude, I saw that.
Let me see.
It changed my life. Like, it was the best thing I've ever seen.
The Batman, Multiverse of Madness, Love and Thunder, DC's fucking League of Super Pets, Black Adam, Wakanda Forever, Shazam! Fury of the Gods. I lost count. What is that, 6 or 7 comic book movies this year? In 2002, did we get anything other than Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man?
Nope.
Exactly.
No. Then 2003, we got X2 and Hulk.
And
even
Daredevil.
that was like, one has to... And Daredevil. Oh, shit. 2003 was a good year for me.
2003 was a big year.
Right.
But even then, it was like one...
But see, like...
only one of these is getting a sequel.
Everybody clowned Ang Lee doing his, like, panels and editing and that vision. And now I think that shit would get praised if it came out today.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I thought it was cool then. I was young. I was like, dude, this is cool. This isn't what I expected from a Hulk movie. And then in rewatches, the more I rewatched, that was a movie I was like, this movie's great. This movie's awesome. Like, I don't understand why people don't like it. And I think people that talk shit on that movie now are just people that haven't watched it in like 20 years.
Yeah.
Like, go back and rewatch it. That movie's cool. Oh, that's you?
Yeah. I watched it a couple of years ago.
It's as good as The Incredible Hulk, in my opinion. It might be better.
I think The Incredible Hulk is the most underrated MCU movie.
Age of Ultron is.
The first Avenger is very high on that list too.
What? The first Avenger?
This is one of the most underrated MCU movies of all time.
That movie is absolutely one of the most underrated movies ever.
I thought it was overrated for a while, and then more movies kept coming out. And then I was like, wait, that movie's actually great. Now I think, like, every time I think one is overrated, then it starts getting, like, I thought the first Ant-Man was a little overrated for a while. Like, I was like, why does everybody love it? Like, it was good, but why is everybody blowing their eyes out? Now people talk about it like it's not good. I'm like...
I love the first Ant-Man.
It's great.
The first Ant-Man movie was
incredible. I love both Ant-Man movies.
Yeah, it's like first off...
The second one was really good, too.
I think the second... I think Ant-Man and the Wasp was... I was the only guy on the hill, like, dude, that movie's great. Did you see those credit scenes? Like, oh my god. And everybody's like, eh.
The most shocking movie.
It's so good.
The most shocking movie in the MCU, the most, like, surprising that people liked movie in the MCU was Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, I remember when that movie came out. And I was thinking, like, oh, I don't think people are going to like this. And then everybody loved it.
That was to piggyback off what I said like an hour ago, where like some stupid Twitter user, no directors like leave their mark. That was the first time a director really injected their style into the MCU.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Joss Whedon. Like those Avengers movies don't work as well without Joss Whedon, piece of shit or not. But like Guardians was just so quirky and different and funny and action and everything that you want in a fun movie.
Guardians is like. I mean, it was all a risk to Avengers. Like it's like we forget, but I'd say it's easy to look back and look at it. It's like obviously everybody went and saw that. Who wouldn't want to see that? I was like, it's still a risk. Like there was no. We look at Iron Man like he's a god now. In 2008, nobody cared about Iron Man.
Facts.
Or Thor.
They bet the house on that.
Bro, I'm saying in 2008,
bankrupt or that movie was going to be successful. They bet the house on Iron Man.
We take it back to 2007 when Iron Man was announced. It was Louis Leterrier and Favreau was doing the Incredible Hulk, and then they traded. And then I remember that. Favreau went to bat for Downey because his fucking like life was Tony Stark. And like Iron Man was such an obscure character, and then it was just fucking mind blowing. If it wasn't for The Dark Knight, Iron Man is probably the best, my favorite movie of 2008.
Yeah, I remember Iron Man came out. I remember reading Jon Favreau like do an interview or something. It might have been for Iron Man 2, and he was talking about it, but he referred to it as Pepsi. Like he was like, well, I mean, The Dark Knight came out and shadowed over everything. He was like, but I'm cool being Pepsi.
Yeah.
I remember that being like, even at the time, it was like, even after the first Iron Man hit, it wasn't a sure thing like, oh, there's Iron Man 2, of course. But it was still just Iron Man 2. It wasn't like we're building this thing until they got to Thor.
There were Thor. The Iron Man post-credit scene is pretty good. The Iron Man 2 post-credit scene.
But it was still like, this is Iron Man 2. Like, they didn't even give it like a title. Like,
we're just
Iron Man goes to town or whatever.
We're just building to the next movie.
Iron Man 2. Yeah. And then we got to Thor was the first time. Like, I remember going into Thor thinking... Like, I was real skeptical on Thor. Like, I was like, how the fuck is this? First off, who is this dude? Like, who do they even get to play Thor? How are they going to have a Rainbow Road?
Jim Kirk's dad from Star Trek.
Dude, this is going to be weird. And Thor, to me, like, that's why I think the first Thor's doesn't get enough credit. Because, like, maybe no one else thought that. But like when I first saw the first Thor, I was like, wow, that really worked way better than I ever could have thought.
The first Thor movie was done really well.
Yeah.
The problem is it took them until Ultron to perfect the personality that Thor needed to have.
Yeah.
Right? Like they tried to make it too the first couple movies up until Ultron, they tried to make it too like old book type. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the way he talked and whatever. Like
Yeah,
they tried to make it like the cartoon.
Norse.
If you watch the cartoons, they tried to make him like that. And it's like, no, you're gonna have to make this character more relatable. And it took them until Ultron to give him that joking personality and match the power level with it.
Hemsworth is hilarious in Ultron.
That was the first time when I called Randy, because we call each other after we see all these movies. When I called him, the first thing I said was, bro, they finally got Thor right. They finally figured out Thor. Like,
yeah, he was always kind of like the fish out of water type.
Right.
Like it was like, oh, everybody's fighting, and then here's Thor. Like it was kind of like, this big thing, like when you play a video game, and like you make your own character, and then there's a cut scene, and your character is standing in the middle of all these other like characters, and you look goofy as shit. Like that was always Thor. Like he was always kind of there, and now it's like, yeah, Thor's part of it. Like he's
the personality.
Yeah.
Like because everybody had big personalities. Captain America had a big personality. Iron Man definitely had everybody had big personalities. Even Black Widow, they all had big personalities. And Thor's just didn't, like when they had conversations, when they were all like, mingling with each other.
Yeah.
It was like Thor would say something and he'd be like, okay.
I mean, you're so fancy and tiny.
Right.
It was like, oh, that was your input on the argument. But yeah, like.
So tiny.
I remember thinking, like, I was like, okay, Thor was like the movie where I was like, okay, this universe thing, like, might work. And then, like, Captain America, I was like, yeah, but we're going back in time for Captain America. So, like, we'll see.
Yeah.
And then it was like, Avengers was like, they did it. It was kind of like the end game. It was like, holy shit, what's next? Like, what are they even after doing it?
The Avengers movies.
And then,
like when they was working up, when they was doing the one character movie, I was like, okay, this is amazing. This is awesome.
Yeah.
I left the Avengers like, holy shit, that's not even possible, right?
It's all connected.
Right. And then they worked their way up to Ultron, and then they created Vision, and I was like, this shit is not even possible, right? Each time that we got an Avengers movie, I left thinking like, yo, I can't believe they actually was able to do that.
And like every other studio tries to build up their own shared universe, and they always face plant because they're not doing it the exact same way.
Yeah, I was like the Winter Soldier. Like I remember leaving, I probably tweeted. So I was like, these movies just keep not sucking, and it's like it's blowing my mind. And then Guardians of the Galaxy was kind of like the solidified the staying power. Like it was like if this works, we can do whatever we want from here on out. Like everything we do will work.
Yeah, once
it's almost like
bro,
looking around like if this works,
Guardians hit. Now I know in my soul a Squirrel Girl movie will slap.
Yeah, right. I was thinking that I was like, dude, they could do the Squirrel Girl, or who was the girl that had the dinosaur with her?
Oh, I don't know.
I remember that.
They get that shit to hit too.
I was like, dude, Provinciane Wallace, she's right there. Give her the dinosaur. Fuck it. She can be a part of the team. Like, I remember thinking, like, it could all work now. There's a raccoon in the game. So that was like kind of like, and like if you'd have told me that when I was 12, like going back to what I was saying, like if you'd have said, dude, Ant-Man movie is coming. I'd have been
fucking like, talking tree.
Like, what are you talking about, Ant-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy?
Not to be that guy, but DC completely shot themselves in the foot by saying, we're not copying their form. They had the blueprint.
That's exactly what I wanted. We had Man of Steel. I wanted the Ben Affleck solo, Flash, Aquaman, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, Justice League.
And then team up. They had the blueprint. The fact that they wanted to be rebels about it and say, no, we're going to prove that we can do it this way. And it was what hurt them. It's them not wanting people to say they copy Marvel that hurt them. They should have just.
People are gonna say that no matter what.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, you are copying. You should just do it well. Like, bro, at least you can do it. Like, it's good. It's good.
They fucked up their DC movies. They fucked up their Lego universe. They fucked up their Monsterverse. Nick, you gotta let me know, is the Conjuring universe shit to bed yet?
No,
it's alive and well, sort of.
I feel like I'm forgetting one.
Their animated series is incredible, though. I'm not gonna do. Their animated series are incredible.
Yeah. DC's animated movies are good.
They do better than they do that shit great. Them animated Batman movies, all of the animated movies are incredible. It's no.
Yeah, every time they come out, I'm like,
I'm hyped for that Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, another one that they shit the bed on the Harry Potter.
The Wizarding World, for sure, yeah. So that's at least 6 shared universes that Warner Brothers just doesn't know how to handle.
They have the blueprint, though. That's the problem. Like, bro, when something works, maybe it's the only way it works, bro. Like, stop trying to do. And then the fact that they, instead of just saying, okay, we got the blueprint, we're gonna use it. The fact that they'll just keep starting over and over.
Yeah.
Oh, this didn't work. We're gonna start over. We're gonna do it. Like, bro, you can't start over. Like, just.
I think
because Marvel, and I told Randy this. Marvel has their hiccups too. Marvel in time had their hiccups. The thing Marvel did was say, okay, y'all didn't like that. Here's the next thing.
But what you didn't like is still relevant.
Right, and they moved on.
Yeah.
They kept moving forward with it. You know what I'm saying? So
it was like Disney. Like, we could shit on Disney all day, but they saw that the best way to do it, was to do it continuously. It's like Sony, like they had all the Marvel shit all split up, and everybody fighting over it. And Sony's like, well, we got to make a new Spider-Man, otherwise Disney gets it. And Disney are like, what if we shared it and it made it better? It was literally a win-win.
Right.
And they're like, I don't know. It's like, what do you mean you don't know?
Here comes Morbius and Kraven the Hunter. We're still going to make dumpster fires.
We got Morbius in the back burner. It's like, okay, like, let us use Spider-Man. You can have Morbius, I promise. Let us use Spider-Man.
Bro, everybody should just give Marvel, give Disney, all the characters that just get a check, get you a check. They can afford it. Get you a big ass check, and get out of the way, bro.
It's like Sony is the only one that's still holding out, and maybe Universal and their rights to the solo Hulk shit.
That's so lame that they don't just I don't know. They did some kind of petty thing, like they just refused to give up the Hulk.
That's exactly what it is.
But
yeah, they need to do that. They need to do this.
You're not gonna make another solo Hulk movie over there. You're not gonna be the one that's like, what if we make Hulk 2, Eric Bana? It's like, no, dude, you're not gonna do it.
But the problem is, Marvel picked the perfect person to be the Hulk 2. So now, no matter what you do, it's gonna be a comparison, and you're not gonna outdo Mark Ruffalo. You're not gonna do it. So.
No,
I like Edward Norton.
Hulk is just collecting dust.
I love Edward Norton. Yeah.
It's like come on, Kevin Feige and Disney and them just put together a fucking Eternals movie, and overall that shit opened to $71 million.
Yeah, and they acted like that was disappointing, and I was like, dude, this is pandemic.
Yeah,
characters we've never even heard of.
No pandemic. That's at least 120.
Yeah, probably.
It was good. The only problem I have with the Eternals is that the Eternals are considered bigger, they're more dynamic than the Avenger characters or the superheroes we know. And I left the theater thinking they should have looked more powerful than that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was my only thing. I left the theater thinking they kind of made it seem like each one of those characters only had one power, and they had to rely on just that one power. And when you do it that way, it gives people like us three, to be able to be like, oh, Thor could have handled that. Or,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? that kind of thing. And that was my only issue. I loved the movie. My only issue was they didn't make them look as powerful as they should have looked based on who they are. You know what I'm saying?
That movie had.
I struggled with like, why are they necessary? And then like even going into it, I was like, wait, what's the point of these guys? I guess I'll find out. And then when I left, I was like, what? It's like they're talking about like they're gods. Like, oh my god,
Right.
like these are like these deities that are just unattainable power. And it's like he asked the question. He says, so why didn't you like help with Thanos or like the Holocaust or any of it, like anything? And they were like, oh well, we weren't allowed to.
Right.
Like, then why am I watching this movie? Like that was my. I'm like, why did you get a movie? I feel like Captain Marvel could have like handled some of that. And they were unless deviants are involved, we can't do it.
And
like,
it's not. You know what?
Aliens.
After time, I've realized that it wasn't the heroes themselves not looking powerful enough wasn't the problem. After what? Because I watched it like 2 or 3 more times. Them not looking powerful enough wasn't the actual problem. The actual problem was the villain, like the person, the things that they were going up against wasn't powerful enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It was just like they were. It was like, whoa, deviants must fuck shit up, and they're just like, nah, they're alien dogs.
Yeah.
Like I feel like Thor would have fucked one of those dogs up. Like,
ranking
like
ranking the
alien
MCU
dogs.
based on villains, the deviants are down there with like what's his face, Malekith.
Malekith. Who? Oh, why does everyone hate Malekith? He's kind of boring, but like he did his thing. He killed Thor's mom.
Yeah.
Even he like did shit.
No, Malekith did do. He wasn't a bad villain, but he was in a bad movie with a Thor who wasn't quite the Thor we like yet.
Malekith came
it
right
just was
after
kind of like,
I was pissed off about the Mandarin.
Yeah.
Oh no! Listen, we're not gonna do that. I'm not doing that today. I'm not doing that today.
Even after Shang-Chi, we're still bitching about Iron Man 3 and that fucking plot twist after 9 years.
The worst shit that ever happened in Marvel. Yeah,
I'm mixed on the plot. I'm on the fence about the plot. I think like in the movie it works really well. Like as just a guy sitting and watching a movie, it's like, oh, that was fun. But like as somebody who came to expect a character, and that's like you said, like keeping your expectations. But it's like you expected a version of a character to be a certain way, and then it was like, oh.
I can't front.
They literally made a joke and threw away Iron Man's biggest villain. That was the problem.
I kind of went into Iron Man 3, especially with those trailers, like Merritt, you know, like we were hyped. Until that plot twist, up to that point, that was the best MCU movie of all time. And
that
I
movie,
expected
that plot twist was better than Captain America: Winter Soldier.
I expected
the first half of that movie is probably the best movie in all of MCU.
Facts. I expected a like Dark Knight trilogy level, like bring it full circle. The Mandarin was pulling the strings in Iron Man 1 and all of that shit. And it was, he's just an actor.
I think a part of it, and I've never really read this, but like to me a part of it might be like the racist caricatures with like someone like the Mandarin, and they kind of touched on that with Shang-Chi. Like he said, they named me after a chicken dish and all this stuff. It's like, yeah, maybe we're going back and retroactively fixing these like stereotypes. I think they tried to do that with Doctor Strange and Tilda Swinton, and it ended up kind of biting them in the ass more than if they'd have just cast like Chow Yun-Fat or somebody in that role. But it's like, I think there's like they're trying to fix these things. I don't know. I just feel like there's a better way to do it than just being, oh, by the way, everything you know is a joke. This is a joke. And it's like,
they had the best Mandarin the first time, though. Like, if we're being honest,
yeah,
the Mandarin that was in Iron Man 3, the first half before they made him a joke, was the scariest villain. He would still be up for the best villain in all of the MCU before that plot twist. Bro, when he got on national TV and he was like, have the president call me or I'm killing these people, right? And the president called and he killed him anyway.
He still did that shit.
Sitting in the theater like, yo, this dude is a psycho. He's crazy for real. Like, he was crazy. He was doing it all sitting in a chair. It was crazy.
Yeah.
They blew that one. That's one of them ones. MCU. Yeah, that was one of them ones.
I think I read somewhere like they kind of told Shane Black like, yeah, like you've made some dope movies, you've written some dope movies, Lethal Weapon, Long Kiss Goodnight, you directed Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, you got that bond with Downey already, so yeah, just do your thing.
And his style, speaking of like directors with style, his style is kind of injected into Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of like the banter with the little kid and all that stuff, which I don't hate.
It's Christmassy.
But yeah, it's Christmas. I like that.
I hate that fucking kid. Yeah. I hate that he came back for the funeral.
I don't hate the kid.
Fuck that little motherfucker.
I was the only one like in my group and in game that like thought I was like, who is that? Oh, it's the Iron Man 3 kid. Everyone I was with was like, who the fuck is that guy? Like, why'd they linger on him for like an extra second and he walked away? Like,
I saw a few of those.
Iron Man 3. I think as an individual movie, not in the MCU, it's a one-off. I think it's an incredible movie. But the fact that it was in the MCU, it was a continuation. There was a chance that we could have seen the Mandarin and the Iron Man go back and forth a few times. Yeah.
Yeah, I think as a movie, like my dad thought it was great. I always say my dad, like we always go see the Marvel movies, and he's just a guy watching movies. He just loves the MCU.
Right.
He thought it was great. He was like, dude, Iron Man 3, oh my God.
It's entertaining. It's entertaining as hell.
Yeah, I was like, dude, as a movie, it works. As a movie, it's great. It's just in the big picture, it's like knowing what you know and like knowing what it's kind of supposed to be. It's kind of like, oh, man. But it's like you get a few of those. Like when you really rewatch the MCU, there's a few things where you're like, oh, this isn't going to live out to its maximum potential.
No, but that second half of that movie completely fell off a ledge, though. Like after the plot twist, we had Iron Man do this amazing ass save on the airplane and then get hit by a fucking bus for no reason. Like, and he wasn't even in it the whole time. That was dumb. Like he got hit by a fucking bus, dude. Like
you heard me.
It was funny though.
That was stupid. And then the second thing was we finally got the scene where we got to see all the suits that he had created. Like he created all these amazing suits, and I'm just hyped to see him step in each one and do something. And he literally for like 20 minutes couldn't get in a suit, dude. Every time he would try to get in a suit, it would run into a wall or a pole or something. And it was like, they're just wasting this. Like they're wasting these suits. Like
Nick, did you hit a button?
Before he could even get in them. Like that was dumb. And then for the finale of fucking up a movie, they made Pepper Potts have the extremists. Like that I was like, okay, I guess. Whatever. I don't even care anymore.
I just say my biggest takeaway from Iron Man 3 was like the whole like last half hour or whatever is pretty pointless. Like he blew up all the suits, but he didn't blow up all the suits because they're in Age of Ultron. And then he fixed his heart like definitively, but he did, but like he's right back in Age of Ultron and Civil War and Infinity War. He's got the thing on his chest. He's like, this is just whatever. And I'm like, so you're wearing it on your chest? That's
nanotech.
Weird. It's like
they have to power the suits now, right? Yeah. He don't need it for his heart, but he needs it to power the suits, I guess.
Yeah, it's like it houses the nano suits.
Right.
I'm like, okay, that's cute. But like now you have to explain that because you're like, oh, that was kind of dumb that we had him blow up all his suits. Kind of like Star Wars. Like it's like you're nobody. You're nobody special. Well, she's got to be somebody special. It's like they had to go back and fix it. It's like, oh. So there's a ton of little things like that.
When they had him blow up the suits, the next time we saw Iron Man, that was the perfect time for him to have the extremist where the suit like was part of him. That would have been the perfect time to do that, but they did it. So.
No.
Nick, you hit a button, I just see initials.
Who, me?
Yeah.
No. It's me, baby.
Well, right now you
like Dave Chappelle.
Mary, bro, do you see initials or you see him?
I can see him.
That's weird.
It's crack.
We getting too off topic, bro. But who so according to Multiverse of Madness, when we have a dream that we are at work, somewhere in the multiverse, we just have the same lame ass jobs, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
It's just me working
He's
somewhere.
back.
Sad sack Nick.
Because
At work.
I just want to know, when did that start? Like, is that canon for that's how they view dreams, period, in the MCU? Or is this new because the multiverse is broken? Because
ooh, that's a good question.
when Iron Man has his dream in Iron Man 3, remember he was going through his PTSD?
Yeah.
When he has his dream in Iron Man 3, is that because he actually was seeing that happen? That actually happened in a different universe?
We're never going to get that answer.
Yeah, they aren't
You know
thinking
what I'm
that
saying?
far.
Yeah.
No, you get what I'm saying? Like,
They could be.
how far back does that work? Is there's a version in the multiverse somewhere where Thanos actually won and Captain America's actually laying on the ground saying, "You could have saved us," and
Yeah.
everybody else is dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a dream. It was like a vision.
So I think that's dope that they're doing that.
That was
but
a
then
Wanda
it's gonna have
vision.
a lot of MCU fans asking those questions like, is that just now or was that always like that? You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
We're gonna have to go back and like look at every dream sequence.
Yeah.
Every time.
Remember Thor's? You remember Thor's dream sequence when they put him in the river or whatever, and
With Idris and he didn't have no eyes or whatever.
Yeah, he was able to see that the gauntlet was being created or whatever.
Yeah.
He said I had a vision. He didn't say a dream. You know, he said I had a vision.
I had a vision.
It was something he saw that happened before, I'm guessing.
True.
That's like every time the Hulk has ever had like one of those dreams. I feel like every time there's a Hulk thing, like he's like has a dream and then he wakes up, he's like in a sweat, and he looks at his clock and he's like, God, gotta go hide from the government.
Yeah.
Like there's a universe where he's like the Hulk all the time.
Yeah.
As I said, we're gonna have to rewatch and be like, every dream sequence, write it down. Oh shit!
No, I think I'm gonna just go with it. I'm gonna just rock. From this day forward, I know that means that. I'm not gonna go back.
I'll do the work. I'll go back and rewatch it at some point. So,
How many
Rocket had a dream.
how many different versions of you guys have fell off a cliff?
A lot. There's a lot of versions of me skateboarding for some reason. I always have dreams of like I'm on a skateboard and I fall, and those are usually the dreams where I'll like jump up. So there's a version of me out there somewhere.
Listen, I have mad dreams. I've had mad dreams where I was being chased to get murdered by the Chucky doll, and I know that's not happening nowhere else. That's not.
Oh, it definitely is.
No.
See, like
I used to have dreams like
I fucked Chucky up in these dreams though.
I'm
Like,
one
I
of
kicked
one.
him.
I barely
I
ever
fucked
dream.
him.
Like I'm one of one.
damn. I used to have dreams all the time, like home invasion dreams, like way back, like it was always like, remember like Elizabeth Smart, like all those kids were getting abducted all the time.
Stop
I
watching
used
The
to
Purge.
have dreams, like I used to have dreams all the time, like somebody's gonna break my house, and like one time I had the most vivid dream, like these dudes broke in my house, and like I walked out of my bedroom and looked downstairs and like saw a dude, and I like ran down the stairs and started wailing on him. Like I was probably like 11. I ran to like beat his ass, and I'm like, that happened somewhere. 11-year-old me like ran down the stairs like it was like
Captain America.
Like,
That definitely happened.
yeah, definitely not a dream. I should definitely look into it. Like I'm probably a really strong 11-year-old.
When I was like 4 or 5, I had a dream that I was fighting Freddy Krueger, and I became Batman. So
that happened.
I just want y'all to know that somewhere out there, I'm Batman.
I want you to know. I do want you to know that Batman would die though. I'm just saying.
It wouldn't be great. Yeah.
We don't have 2 more hours into getting into why without prep time, Batman would lose every fight.
Prep time, maybe.
I would with prep time, he would still die. Could get prepared for what Freddy's gonna do in his dreams.
He's got a Freddy suit, like a mask, and all this shit.
He's gonna have to go visit Scarecrow. He's gonna have to go make friends with Scarecrow and figure out something. I don't know what he's gonna do.
Possible.
Die.
Possible. I'm gonna think of every dream I've ever had. Holy shit! Remember that?
Have I had a dream where I won the lotto? Because I need to find that guy.
Right?
Yeah.
Facts. Huge facts. I think we kind of close to pretty much finished. So 2 weeks from now, myself, Nicholas, Melissa should be back. Eric may or may not be back. Top Gun coming out, so we just gonna talk about Tom Cruise. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna finish this episode. It's Rec League Podcast. Merritt, appreciate you jumping in with us. Find him on Twitter. Just My Thoughts 1. Rec League out. Hey yo, it's the multiverse of rap shit. Bars go crazy, bat shit. So think about a version of me with unlimited superpowers. Once this motherfucker starts spitting, he could go and go, not take a breath for hours. Instrumentals devoured, it's a sight to be seen. No pee breaks or lunch, no intermission in between. It's possible a Benedict Arnold ass me exists, spilling every secret that he hears. A paint by numbers ass snitch. I'm ashamed to say, but yes, dude is a fake. Him willingly, but me bumping Drizzy Drake by mistake. Me and Jake chilling in Cherry Lake, flow colder than the Eskimo. Not even writer's block can test the flow. Expertly talented, your boy might rhyme well. Bars for days, but he spit about nothing. Hip hop sign failed. Can't get right, Randy. Endless get rich quick schemes. Completely unaware of what any kind of risk brings. A brisk breeze is cold as fuck if your clothes got holes like Swiss cheese. Hard working ass grind no matter what the task be. So many different versions of what the raps be. No confusion, that's me. And chill until the next episode.